What would be the biggest advantage studying abroad?
It opens global avenues for you. It also opens up your mind of critical thinking. For students that want to study abroad, I would say, first of all, Ghana is not a bad place to study. It puts in us that fighting spirit and readiness to learn.
What's that one myth that you want to debunk about studying abroad?
That studying abroad will help you make it in life. I've been jobless before, slept in my office because I didn't have a place to stay for a week. Heartbreak moments.
Were there rejections?
With love.
If you're planning to study abroad or you're just curious about it, then this episode is for you. Because on this episode, we will be focusing on studying abroad, how to identify the right opportunities, how to make the most of it, and generally, how to navigate the challenges that comes with international education. And I am pleased to be joined by an accomplished expert in data science and statistics, Dr. Jason X. Anquandah. She has a PhD in statistics and MSc in mathematical science and teaching experience at prestigious institutions like Oxford and Leeds. Dr. Anquandah has left an incredible mark in education and consulting. From Ghana to China, the UK and beyond, she has worked and studied across the globe, gaining invaluable experience. Hello, Doc. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You do have an inspiring journey.
Well, I was listening to you and you make me sound very good.
You are good. So Doc, let's start from the beginning. Tell me a bit about your childhood.
Okay, so before I begin, I want to say this. Nothing about me is self-made. Everything is God.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yes, that's the first thing I want to say before. But since it's God, I'm going to throw modesty out of the window. I was a child. I've always loved mathematics. I will probably give a few stories when you go. You push further.
I will push.
But then, yes, I studied mathematics. I loved mathematics from the beginning. I studied at Tema Parents Association. Then I went to Wesley Girls High School.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
okay.
the two no girls. And then I went to KNUST so in Wesley Girls I did business. I studied business. Then KNUST I studied actuarial science. That's for my bachelor's. And I traveled to Tanzania to do an MSc in mathematical science. And then I did a master's research in mathematical modeling. And then I moved to the UK to do a PhD in statistics. And yes, just last year, I also did a PG set in learning and education. So currently, yes, those are my certificates.
I'm smiling because it's proving that you are just the perfect guest for this topic and for this episode. That's an inspiring journey right there. So you mentioned that you studied in Tanzania. What's even motivated you to leave Ghana?
Okay, so ever since I was young, I always used to say I would study outside the country.
Why?
After my undergraduate, no matter what. Now, the reason being that Ghana has a rich educational system, but I always wanted the element of external experience or global experience. So I always used to tell my father that even if it's Togo, I'll go and do a master's there. Yes, so that was the motivation for wanting to travel. And fortunately, I got a scholarship to study in Tanzania. So that was how the avenue came up.
So it was just a passion to leave Ghana.
Yes, after my undergraduate, there was that passion to want to leave Ghana, not because I do not love Ghana, but because I wanted to open up to get different opportunities, global opportunities. Yeah, and I thought that was the avenue too.
So you mentioned that you got a scholarship.
Yes.
And then you went
Yes.
Outside Ghana.
Yes.
And it's popular among the youth today in Ghana.
Yeah.
People actually, they want to leave. They want to leave Ghana and study abroad. How did you start? Who helped you? How did you go about it? How did you even identify the right scholarship to apply for?
Yes, so it was very dicey. That's a very tricky. There was no guide. when I was applying for scholarships. There was no guide. It was about me and being able to, so as I mentioned, God. So we all know the God factor, but it was about navigating and finding opportunities on my own. So I applied to, so during my national service, that was when I wanted to move out. So I applied to as many schools as possible.
Do you remember the number?
Yes. I think it was like 20.
Oh.
Yes, I got, and the thing is, you would get admissions into all these schools, but then the issue comes in with the funding. So there was a scholarship challenge. Now, I studied with African Institute of Mathematical Science, AIMS, and I was in the Department of Math. So AIMS is a scholarship that it's an institute that gives scholarships to students so that they can go outside. So they have different centers where you can go outside and then you study mathematical science for a year. And I applied to that because that was one of the avenues that was available, and I got the offer. And yes, I went there.
That's great. Until we know if there are scholarships that favor like gender, women, do they have a higher chance in certain universities abroad or with certain scholarships?
Yes.
And funded?
Yes. So currently, most people argue that, yes, the world is gender biased for women. And it's so true, especially, but it also depends on the field of study. So in the STEMs, the motivation, or there's that effort to try to get women to study more STEM-related subjects. So then there's more avenue and more scholarships for females, specifically in that area, to increase the number of females that are in that area. Now, the general idea is that people don't like mathematics. And just women actually are known as
you
that.
Have one
yes.
sitting here.
So they tend to go towards the psychology area. But I would say yes and no. The scholarships are given to women, but at the same time too, it's neutral. I think it's a survival fight. Like, you have to fight to survive. And don't think because you are a woman, it makes you any special, or you're trying to get a scholarship because you are a woman. And also don't think you are a man, so you cannot get this. So it's about opening up your mind and saying, I'm going to get this no matter what. Yes.
I love the balance you've given right now. You don't go in for the scholarship because you think you're a woman, so you have it easy. Neither should you think that you're a man, so you'd not have it easy.
Exactly.
There's a balance. You just have to go and give it your best. I love the balance. So you mentioned that you didn't have any guidance. You ended up applying to about 20 scholarships. What would be the advice for youths in Ghana? Where do they start from? Because you didn't have any guidance and you were able to apply to those scholarships. Where do someone who also doesn't have any guidance start from? Should they necessarily get a mentor? Would you advise that now that should be the case? Or they can actually find it on their own, the right funding and the right opportunities to apply to?
Yes. So I think I've done this justice. I've not done a good justice to, or I've done disservice to those that might have probably guided me by saying no guidance at all.
Okay.
Yes. So I would like to retract that statement. But yeah, there were a couple of mentors that I had because I was a teaching assistant. There were other teaching assistants ahead. There were lecturers ahead. If I say no guidance, what I meant to say was no one will tell you do this, do that, do this, do that.
The clarity.
Yes, that's clarification. And no one would actually push you in a particular area. They'll just tell you, okay, this is there. You can do it on your own. You get it? So so hearing about AIMS and everything, someone definitely told me about AIMS. Hearing about those schools online, someone told me about those schools online. But back to your question, when it got to my turn, naturally, when after BSc, you actually do not know what you want to do next. That was me. I really did not know what.
Trust me, there's a lot of situation for a number of youths in Ghana.
But the thing was, I identified where my interest was. So for any person that is planning on studying, first identify where your interest was. I knew mine was mathematics and numbers. So then I was looking at areas in relation to mathematics and numbers.
and then looking at all avenues in that area. So I applied to a number related to mathematical science, statistics, actuarial science. So anything that what was around, like that fits in that criteria, I applied to that. And knowing that if I get in there, I'll definitely be able to navigate or narrow it down as I climb the ladder. So that's one thing that I'll do. Identify your interest and then work towards it. Some people are lucky to know exactly what they want. And also it has to do with a lot of research. So as much as you are also you're given these opportunities, you also need to do the research. I needed to research into schools, the requirements that were needed, what steps that need to be taken. I needed to research on essays of people that had been accepted into those programs.
Know how to write yours.
To know how to write yours.
Yes.
Yes. So it's a whole process. And I always say applying to schools is like applying for a job. So you need to put yourself on that pedestal. You're supposed to be the one that should be picked. Yes.
That's the mindset you go in.
Exactly. That's the mindset you go in with. Yeah.
I like the touch on interest, but then I do have a question regarding that. If someone also has the passion to leave Ghana and study, the person is not sure of what he or she wants to do, but wants to leave Ghana, would you advise that a person go in for any course? And when you get there, are you given the avenue to finally find out what you want to do? Would you advise someone to leave the country in that state?
Yes and no. I always give yes and no answer because I'm a statistician. We always don't say yes, I'll try it, or no, I'll try it. Yes and no because it works. I've seen it work for people in that area. I've seen it not work for people in that area. Now, when it comes to you just wanting to travel, I always tell people there is that hint of interest that you have no matter what. You might think you're a jack of all trades. That's amazing. But there is always that one angle that you would want to pick from. And I would advise that when it comes to education, you pick something that you are interested in because it can get frustrating. Yes, it can get frustrating. And you don't want to start a journey whereby you would get frustrated at the end. As I said, I've seen people that have also taken this journey and have gone a route that they totally didn't like and later got the opportunity to go back to where they liked.
Yes.
But both of them have their advantages, and with that one, you spend more time. With the other one too, there might be a little time spent trying to find the schools and avenues that fit your specific requirements. But yeah, they both work.
So be the middle.
Yes, so it's about you finding that balance and also you knowing exactly what works for you, how your interests go. Would you, as an individual, also be able to fight through a whole year of something you are not interested in?
That's a good question.
Because if you stop down the line, they'll send you back.
Oh.
Yes, your visa is cancelled and you come back to your home country.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That happens when
you
don't finish.
If you don't finish, you either defer, but then you'd be sent back to your home country.
Which people do not want
to. And that's when people end up staying illegally, but that's a conversation for another day.
Okay. You spoke about, I asked you the question regarding mentorship and guidance, and you mentioned how you got some opportunities because of some people. How important is networking and mentorship in finding these international opportunities?
It's very, very important. You need people to rise the ranks. Even when you are in school, you would need your lecturers for recommendations. You would need them to, as I said, people told me this scholarship is available, this is available. You need people like that. Also, you need to have a standard. I think everybody should have a standard of someone that you look up to, that you want to be like. Yes, because then you know how to navigate to get there. And that is where the mentorship comes in. So I think it's very, very necessary. Networking, mentorship is very, very necessary. When it comes to the entire school body as a whole, it's since the systems are working, I would say it's not something, don't think you having connection to a lecturer means you'd be able to get this scholarship. No, it's not straightforward. But there is a little bit of help that you can receive. Exactly. Someone can say, okay, let me look at your proposal for you. Let me look at this for you. Let me make it more presentable. Make it, put it in a form that you would be the chosen one. But that doesn't influence the decision of whatever is going. So so those network and mentorship opportunities they are very, very important, and they really help to push people.
Okay, I love the touch on the standard. That helps you know where you're going and how to even get there, looking at the person you are inspired by or you admire. Let's talk about our students. There are lots of students who want to study abroad, who are in the process of applying for scholarships, among others. What perspective should they have, and how should they prepare personally, emotionally, and financially?
Okay. Yes. So personally, for students that want to study abroad, I would say, first of all, Ghana is not a bad place to study.
I know a lot of people who not agree to that statement. A lot of people not agree to that statement. Why do you think
Ghana educational system is very good, because it puts in us that fighting spirit and readiness to learn, which you need outside.
Oh,
exactly.
This is not bad after all.
Ghana
is not bad.
It's not bad at all. But yes, and it's also, so personally, first you have to identify, as I said, interest is very important. Secondly, you also have to identify what exactly you want to achieve in life. Yes, because then because it guides or grooms you on why are you going out. Probably yours is not school. Probably yours is entrepreneurship. And and I admire people in that field as well. So I think it's about, next thing is to identify what your target is. Why do you want to go out in the first place? Personally too, I think you should be prepared for a lot of failures. I always tell people this: I've received more rejections than acceptance.
We'll talk about those challenges. We'll go into that.
And it breaks you. It can break you to a point. So you should psych yourself that based on, so these are the three things I'll tell someone. I think you should pay attention to the interest. Then you should pay attention to where you want to go to, which is the target. And thirdly, you need to psych yourself for any possible failure that can happen, because there's a lot out there.
You've spoken about emotional preparation.
Yes.
And personal preparation. Let's hit on the financial part. How is it like?
So financially, outside the country, I would say you should always have the plan to, let's say, survive outside the country. Do not have plans of, if I go there, I would do this. Yes, it's. I've seen it work for people, but the masses, it doesn't work for them. Yes. When it comes to finances in relation to education and scholarship or studying abroad, if you are able to get a scholarship, that's the best, because then you save your money and all that. But it comes with requirements, because then you have to hit certain, you have to do well, exceptionally well.
Because to
keep the scholarship. That's one. Another thing is, if you're funding yourself, make sure that you have every single way of funding yourself. You should cover accommodation, you should cover transport, you should cover food before tuition. People just look at tuition and think, I'll just travel and then I'll find my way around. Thinking you can go stay with that uncle or auntie who is somewhere and you'll be fine. Trust me, it's not easy. Yes. So I would advise that you cover all angles related to this. On school websites, they give details of estimate of finances that you need to study in that particular school or that particular country for like a year. If you think you can't even manage to get everything for a year, try to get it for the first 6 months.
and then see if you can get a job whilst you are there. Depends on the level as well. There are jobs for undergraduates, there are jobs for masters, there are jobs for PhD students. So, but then make sure that you've researched on these jobs, and then you know that when you get there, you would be able to get. So my thing is always have that backup plan. Even with those that get scholarship, it also depends on the angle of scholarship that it comes from.
Some they are not fully like full.
There are some that are not full scholarship. So now you need to figure out how to cover the rest of the scholarship. Some scholarships are also might also be full scholarship, but depends if it's coming from the government. Imagine being on an MPP scholarship or one, and then NDC comes into power. You see, and then you are in your third year, and they have to pay school fees. So you need to have that backup plan as well. So it's a whole different ball game, when it comes to scholarship. But as I said, cover all grounds and always make sure that you have a backup, a way out. Yes. If this fails, that's the safe bet.
Thank you so much for that. I'm glad you touched on that, so that someone who has the plans to go abroad doesn't have one way out and is so happy, excited, and then they go and they are getting depression and frustrated because the plan didn't go as planned. So I'm glad you've touched on that. Let's talking more about the students. How do they strengthen their application? What be your advice for them? How do they go about? As you said, people can help you proofread your essay so that they'll strengthen it for you so that you would be the chosen one. How do people go about it? Especially when they're applying to top universities abroad.
Yes. So when it comes to applications, most applications have the CV. You would have to have the personal statement. If you're doing something in relation to research, you would have to have a research statement. And these are things that you need to pay attention to. Now, when it comes to you putting yourself out there, before, most of these institutes look at things that individuals do on their normal basis. Nowadays, we even go further. Universities go further to look at what you do on your TikTok, to do on your Instagram, to do on your LinkedIn. To give you these avenues. So you have to be very careful. I know most of the time people that are into things that are socially acceptable, like probably someone that's more into NGOs, helping here and there, doing more projects in relation to. So it's also based on the field that you want to enter into. If you're going into probably my field, which is data science, we would be looking at your programming skills. So how good are you at programming?
What have you done?
What projects have you worked on? Because it's very competitive. If you're going to area of psychology, what have you done with that psychology? Have you worked in any mental institute? Have you helped children? Have you done this? Touching on being able to help people, because the universities are also looking at a way to sell themselves through you. Yes. So you being very sellable makes them sellable.
Exactly. You push the name, the brand for them.
So it's a win-win
situation.
As much as you might be a tiny speck, you are actually making a difference.
That's
so
true.
They are looking at people that do make that difference. So any little thing. So I always advise people, don't be wasting time on things that are unnecessary. Unless that is your interest and you know that is what the money is going to come out of it for you. Yes, I think unnecessary is too wild. Don't use your time.
Focus
on valuable things, more valuable things. I wouldn't say unnecessary. It's probably necessary. Yes, but the more valuable things. So any little avenue, do, and then put it on your CV. You went to give things to an NGO, put it on your CV.
So that they'll see what you're doing.
And then when it comes to the personal statement writing and all those things, what I would say is you can find everything online nowadays. Even if you do not have a mentor, everything is online. You can always type in samples of essays that have won scholarships. Trust me, you get a whole list. Read and then find out ways to write yours.
Now, with these personal statements, they also want a hint of personal from there. So what personal aspect connects to this, and how would it improve you and help them, and how would you return back to your home country? It's a whole, yes. So I think you get what I'm
Yes,
trying to
I do.
say.
Thank you so much for
And
that.
I hope they get
and
it
I
too.
appreciate the touch on the social parts.
Yes.
Being mindful about your TikTok, your LinkedIn, your Instagram, knowing that now that is a criteria. You know that you're not supposed to fool around. You're not supposed to joke. So you've spoken about, we've touched a lot about the emotional preparation, financial and personal preparation. There's this thing or that happens when people travel abroad. There's homesickness and culture shock. Because I've heard people's fear for not even going abroad is, I'm not ready for something. I don't know. I'm not ready for the food, the culture. I'll miss my family. And generally, even not just students, but professionals, there are points in your life as a professional where you need to level up, improve, and there's a need for you to travel abroad. With this fear, how would you deal with it? What advice do you have for people in this category, students and professionals alike?
Okay, so I think when it comes to homesickness,
And
not
culture
everyone,
shock.
and culture shock, not everyone has homesickness and culture. Because some people are very happy to leave.
Oh, they don't want to come back.
And then there are some people that have it. But let me address the homesickness and culture shock. I've had homesickness and culture shock. Now, the first time I traveled to the UK to study, I was intimidated.
Oh,
yes.
why?
Because then you see white people, you always hear they are so smart, and the way they speak, so fast, and you pick your English one. Like grains of rice. Yes. So in that case, there was that intimidation, that fear of, I didn't want to go out to I was
But how
going
did
to
you deal with that?
Yes, so I had to come out. Yes.
Yeah.
So one way to get out of this whole culture shock and this whole homesickness is to build a community. Build an amazing community. Meet people. Work with people. Don't be afraid. You actually do know a lot than you think. Yeah. There's that fear of, what if I don't know? No, you do know.
What if I make a mistake?
What if
I
I
go
make a
embarrass
mistake?
myself?
Exactly. That's the thing. I'm now not afraid to make a mistake. And the thing is, if I don't know, I'll tell you I do not know. I'll go research and come and tell you about it.
That's the right
attitude. I don't know. What can you do to
what's
me?
the worst?
What's the worst that can happen? So yes, and so build a community. Also psych yourself that you are moving out into a space that is not your comfort zone. So you have to survive there. Some people are worried about the food that you have to eat. There's food out there. There's fufu, there's banku, there's everything. Just that it doesn't taste the same.
You have to mention that. Very important.
It doesn't taste the same, but it's there.
Yeah.
Yes, there are substitutes. And it's a good way to learn new things. It's a good way to learn how to eat spaghetti for 5 days in a week.
Okay. But I think there are people in Ghana who
do
yes,
that.
they even eat the spaghetti the whole month.
Exactly. Yes. So build a community. Make sure that you psych yourself emotionally. And I think those are the two main things that I would
to
say.
deal with such a situation.
Yeah.
And so speaking about studying, still on the topic of studying abroad, what would you say are the biggest advantage for studying abroad? Though you mentioned that it's good to study in Ghana, to start from Ghana, what would be the biggest advantage studying abroad, both for a student and for a professional?
Yes. It opens global avenues for you. You get to meet different people. It also opens up your mind of critical thinking, because you get to see how people think, and you'd be able to relate with them in that from that angle. And I think another advantage is when you go, so yes, someone was talking about this earlier, when you go and come back home, there's extra added value to you.
That's true.
So these are the three of the top of my head that I can actually think of. It adds value to you. It makes you more globally acceptable. It's also when you come back, it increases your value, and also it gives you that avenue to think much better. And all these, I would say, it's based on the individual's ability to be able to use what they studied. Because I know people that traveled and did not, So yeah, I would always give that yes or
Balance, and
no.
I love that. I love the balance.
Yes. So yes, so there are those people that also went and didn't make it as much. Maybe they made it to their preference. But yes, I think these are the advantages of studying outside. But
so you definitely advise, you'd encourage someone to study abroad.
Yes and no.
Yes.
No, yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no, because as I said, Ghana is not bad. And there can be a few tweaks here and there, but I think we have a very strong and solid educational system. I really believe in it. Trust me.
I'm surprised.
Yeah,
for someone studying abroad, I believe.
And someone would even say that it's because you've studied there, so
of
you
course,
can see this.
They'll tell you that, let me go and study and come back. Yes, let me go and study and come back.
Stop anyone.
Yes.
I think it's a good opportunity to go there, but I also do not think those that stay here are worse off, because there are people that stayed here and are doing amazing.
Okay. All right. So it's not all bad.
It's not all bad. But yeah.
But if they have the chance,
if you have the chance, go.
They should
if you have
give
the
it a
chance,
go.
Yeah.
So we'll be wrapping up very soon. You mentioned intimidation as one of the challenges you had when you went to the UK for the first time. What other challenges did you face, and how did you deal with them?
So we stay in academia.
I mean, if you share something that's
stay there.
Could be it's going to be beneficial to someone.
Well, yes. I mean, it's the whole vice, everything. It comes financially. I had struggles. There was a week I slept in my office for a week because I didn't have a place to stay for a week. Yes.
Wow.
I'm shocked I'm even saying this.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
I had problems. After I was done, there was a phase where you would be jobless. I've been jobless before. Right? Yes, I've been jobless for some time before.
What did you do?
What did I do?
How did you deal with that?
So the thing is, because of the first impact of staying in my office for that phase where I had no money, I ended up having backup plans and budgeting. So that's why I always say have backup plans. And it's by grace. I'm trying not to be holier than thou, but then it's by God's grace. Because then having backup plans, knowing that I was going to be unemployed or not have a job for this period, I financially planned for it. So I had my rent there. I had money for feeding. I had everything available to cover me for 3 months.
Oh,
and
always there.
Oh, yeah, no, not always there, because I foresaw that was about to happen.
Okay.
Yes. It was, so I foresaw that there was going to be that gap where I needed to find a new job, and the old job had ended, the old contract had ended. So then I needed to cover myself for that period. And I did that. So having that budget and backup plan is a safe one. There's the emotional and heartbreak moments.
With the rejections?
Not with rejections, with love.
Let's go there.
Look at you. You're talking about academia.
No,
that's part 2 is there.
Just passionate. How did you deal with it?
Let's just say I had good support systems. Yes, so let's leave it there. And with the intimidation, it's just about you psyching yourself to know that you know enough or you know a lot, and then going out there and getting it. What is the worst that can happen? I've been saying this since 2016. What's the worst that can happen? They will say, no, you won't die. Yes. So that's it. So I just go and say it. And apart from, and always telling myself, I'm always preparing. So the same way you're telling yourself you are good, make sure you prepare. So I'm also always preparing, learning, making sure that I know. And it's not only about academia. you also have to learn how to communicate with people. Yes.
I'm
You,
glad you've
you
touched
sit
on that.
exactly. You need to sit with people and laugh at mathematics jokes. Yes, you laugh at you open your mouth. Yes. You have to crack math jokes with professors because that's what gets them. Or you have to talk about politics, or you have to talk about current affairs, or you have to you have to be. And if you don't know, don't try to act like you know. You have to find your way to greet, how to talk, to communicate, to look eye contact. Don't be shy. So I had to learn all these things. Yes, so these were a few of the challenges and how I overcame them.
Wow.
I
Wow.
think, yes.
Surprised by a few of them. Thank you so much for sharing that. Let's talk about myths. What's that one myth that you want to debunk about studying abroad?
About studying abroad, that studying abroad will help you make it in life.
Yeah. Please repeat that.
That studying abroad would help you make it in life. That is not, I don't think that's the case. Yes, it has its advantages, but I think with effort and with God, with the holier than thou me, and with putting in the work, you can make it anywhere. The potential is in you.
I love that. What's that one accomplishment you're so proud of?
Accomplishments currently, a lot.
Oh,
that's a lot. Yes. I mean, the most recent accomplishment is my certificate in learning and higher education. Yes, which makes me 5 certificates stronger.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I also just recently acquired a fellowship in higher education in the UK, which is also a very good accomplishment. So I would say, yes, those are the 2 things that I have done.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful. You do have an inspiring journey. So finally, my final question for you is, what advice did you wish you knew before studying abroad?
So one advice I wish I knew was the fact that challenges are inevitable. I went knowing that, I traveled knowing that everything would be okay, or thinking everything would be okay. But when I got there, I figured out the challenges and I was able to work towards it. So I always tell people the first thing, there are challenges. You can't hide from it, but always have that backup plan. It just helps. That's all.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What will be your final words for anyone, student, professional, looking to study abroad, or even in the process, or have won the scholarship? What's the final word you have for the person?
I'll say go for it. Do your best, put in your best, because the thing is, when you win, we all win. And I always want everyone to win. I always tell people it's easier when we've all won. Then I get to enjoy my money and you get to enjoy your money. Yes. So that's it. So go for it. Put in your best. Because as much as we travel